This lesson, we're going to be adding a tooltip to page element that in this case could be a button. So whenever we hover over it, it says this is a tooltip. Whenever I hover away, it's going to disappear. We're just outputting the get bounding client rectangle within the console so that we can see that what that is returning back. Going to create a custom tooltip that's going to hover over some content. So opening up the HTML, and we're going to create a button that's going to have some hover content. So just a tooltip that whenever we're hovering over this element, we're going to show the custom tooltip using JavaScript. So within the style sheet, selecting the element with a class of tooltip and setting up the position. So position is going to be absolute for the tooltip, and set a background color. So I'm going to set a grayscale color for the tooltip, color for the font, set that as white, and then add some padding. So maybe do around 5 pixels of padding for it. Do a border radius so we can round the tooltip slightly. So doing 5 pixels, and let's set a font size. So making it 12 pixels in height, and a Z index so that we're hovering over top, and we can set the Z index at, let's say, 1000. So that gives us the tooltip, and what we want to do is we want to hide and show the tooltip. So for now we're going to do a display of none, and we don't see the tooltip quite yet. So let's do that with JavaScript. We're going to add the event listener to the tooltip. So using the document add event listener, we're going to listen for the event DOM content loaded. So this is a function that's going to run by default whenever all of the page elements are loaded, whenever the DOM content is loaded. Now let's create a tooltip using a variable, and so this is document, and we're going to create an element, and this element is just going to be a div that we're going to be creating. So create an element on the fly using JavaScript. Then we want to append that element, so doing the document and body, and we're going to append the child element, and that child element is the tooltip that we just created, and that will allow us to write into that element. So using the document and query selector all, so we're going to select all of the elements that match. And the element that we're looking for is the data tooltip. So any one of those elements that we have on the page. And it's going to be very specific here with what we're looking for. So data tooltip. And so that should be grabbing any element that has an attribute data tooltip. So we're grabbing all of those page elements. And then for each one of them, you can set this up as a separate variable, but because we're only using it the one time, we're going to grab the element directly, and it's going to do it all within the one statement. So the element, we're going to add an event listener to the element, and the event that we're listening for is going to be the mouse enter. And this is going to run a function whenever that triggers this event, and take the tooltip and do the text content, and whatever the content is in this data set is going to be what we're putting in for the tooltip. So that's going to be the content, and our rectangle, so we want to grab the surrounding size and rectangle. So we can do this by get the bounding client rectangle. So this is going to give us a bunch of properties for that element. We can also console log out the rectangle. So now we see that this is what's getting returned back. So we've got an X and a Y, a width, a height, and a bunch of other values. So those are useful values that we can use. And now we can just determine where we want to put the tooltip. So tooltip style, and set that to left, and grab the rectangle left, and then we're going to add window dot scroll X. So that should give us the amount that the window is scrolled, and should give us a position to add the tooltip that we've just created. So within the left position, whenever we're hovering over it, and also tooltip style, and then do the top for that. So this is going to be also a calculated placement. So from the bottom, and then we take the plus the window dot scroll Y value, and then we need to add the pix to that value. So that gives us the tooltip, and then we also want to display the tooltip as a block. So tooltip style and display. And then we also need to have the mouse leave event. So we've got the mouse enter. Let's add in the mouse leave so we can capture the leave event as well. And so this function is going to take the tooltip and style, and then we'll just do a display of none.mouse enter. That's why nothing is showing up. So there's our tooltip, and we need to still apply the styling to the tooltip. So the element that we're creating, we need to add the class of tooltip to the element, the tooltip element. So when we create tooltip, let's take tooltip and class name, and we're going to assign the class name of tooltip to it. So that should apply the styling to it. So let's try hovering over and then removing the hovering there. So that's how we can add the tooltip to the page.